I'm a talker. I've always loved talking, but there's no point being a talker unless you've got someone who's going to listen. So I've got a whole heap of mates, and I reckon I could open up most topics with them, and I have at certain times. You know, have a few beers, get a bit of tired and emotional at times, and you open up to your mates. They may not be in the right place to be able to take it all in and give you the best advice. I have a lady in Maroubra, actually not too far away from where you live, on Anzac Parade, who a mate of mine told me about. And I said, why do you see this lady? And he said, well, I just need to talk to someone sometimes who's not going to judge me, who doesn't know me well enough to judge me, and who will just listen and perhaps give me some advice that I can take on board or not. So I went and started seeing this lady, and for 2 years I saw her twice a week. Now, twice a week's a long time for 2 years. Now, if someone looked at my life and said, look, you know, look, he's on Brekkie Radio, he's got a wife, 3 kids, he's living on the northern beaches, his mum and dad are still alive, you know, he gets to travel, he works at Foxtel. It looks really fantastic on paper, and it is. But I was having issues by changing my job from being a salesman, you know, up until I was 38, and then all of a sudden I was on telly, then I was on radio, and everything that comes with that. I didn't cope very well with that, and I was trying to work out exactly how I was going to deal with, is this going to continue for the rest of my life, or is this a little gig that I've got for a few years and it's going to fade away and I'll go back to being a salesman again? And just a little bit of fame, in inverted commas, you know, people knowing who you are and shouting out your name, and good and bad, social media, people going, you've only got the jobs you've got because you're best mates with Hugh Jackman, you're overrated, you're this, you're that, anyone could do your job. I mean, I've heard it all, and it's taken me a while to learn how to best cope with those. And I'll put my hand up and say, mate, this lady, she absolutely 100% helped me. I told my wife about it. I said, I'm going there. And initially she was like, oh, well, why can't you talk to me about it? I said, it's because I need to get stuff out that I don't necessarily know what's going to come out. I can't have the judgment that goes with it. And also I'm worried that you might be worried for me if I tell you all the stuff that I'm worried about, you know. So for me, it was a matter of showing weakness is actually a sign of strength, I reckon. And I tell my mates all that. So I had a friend of mine who committed suicide. He was the strongest, he was the bloke that if I had a problem, I'd go to and he'd have the solution. He was the least likely bloke in the whole world to ever do what he did. So once that happened to me, that was when I was about 38. Once that happened, then I realised that, hey, it's open slather here. Anyone can do it, because he was the top of the tree. He was the most unlikely bloke to ever take his own life. He took his own life, and I went, okay. And I worked out over time and by talking to his friends and so forth that he had all the solutions for everyone else's problems. If he turned around and said, you know what, I need some help, in his own head, I reckon he went, well, all of a sudden I may end up not being the bloke that people want to come and see, because all of a sudden I'm asking for answers. They may not come and ask me for their answers. So he was going to lose a bit of who he was. And then I realised that I wish I'd just said to him, mate, have you ever got a problem, mate? Is there anything I can help you with? I never asked him, ever. We were mates, we drank, we worked together, we went to sport together, and I loved him. He was an older bloke than me. And I never asked him because I always thought he was bulletproof. So that was a fantastic lesson for me to learn. And I've decided that I don't give a toss what anyone thinks. If I need to go and see someone that is going to help me get through stuff, then bloody hell, I'm going to do it, you know. And it doesn't have to cost the earth. I mean, this lady was $30, $40 for half an hour. I mean, some people may not be able to afford that. I don't know. But for me, I could. And believe me, she made me make much better decisions than I would have done by myself. So if I want to go, if I've got a sickness, I go to a doctor. Okay, I've got the cold or whatever, I go to the doctor, I get some help. I don't do my own mechanics on my car. I don't do my own building work around my house. I get builders and stuff in. So if I've got something going on in my melon that's not 100% or I'm not too sure, why wouldn't I go and try at least to see if someone can help me? And fortunately, this lady was able to help me. I haven't seen her for 3 years now. But for 2 years, I had to go and see her. It was a drug to me because I was learning on how to cope with stuff that I needed to cope with. and now I'm through the other side. I mean, that to me, for me, my wife and my kids is the best possible thing that I could ever do. And I'll tell my kids one day all about it. They might even see, your website, and they might come and ask me, and I'll talk to them about it. And I'd say to every bloke, "Are you okay, Day?" That's a brilliant day. We talk about it here on the grill team. You should say that to your mates all the time. You shouldn't say it with the deep voice, "Are you okay?" Literally to say to them, you can talk to me about anything at any time, don't you? And don't get fobbed off, because you do get a sense sometimes from your mate if they need a little bit of help. Listen, don't take the piss all the time, just give them that moment where they feel they can come to you and talk to you. And, I think if you do that, then we're more likely to have our mates around for longer.